Okay, we're going to get started here. For those of you watching later, I'm Melissa Smith, a licensed clinical mental health therapist in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and I've been teaching yoga for a long time. I was telling someone the other day I've been teaching fitness since I was 15, which was just yesterday. um, so I've been doing this a while and I'm quite passionate about it. So, knowing who we are, whether you are, and thank you for Hilarity for Charity for sponsoring this, whether you are currently a caregiver, a family caregiver, or whether you're a professional or paid caregiver, or you're not at all, and one day you might be. I really feel yoga is a type of practice when done sustainably. In other words, when really kind of paying attention to what makes sense for your body and not necessarily adhering to an instruction that maybe doesn't fit your body or what's happening with it, if there are prior injuries or if there are some concerns. So, the most important thing that I would hope that you would gain from this time together is to move in such a way that honors your own experience because no one knows your body better than you. So, that is my hope for you. And the menu for our practice today, um, we're going to do a little bit of breathing here, a little bit on the floor, just to kind of get a sense where your spine is in relationship to gravity, and then we'll be doing some standing and then back on the floor. So hopefully that works for everybody. So finding a comfortable way to sit and to be, and you can sit cross-legged, you can stand, you can lie down, you can change the way that you're sitting at any time. In other words, as I cue poses and postures, or even as we're sitting here and doing some breath work, you don't have to stay in a position that causes exasperated pain. So know that you can move or adjust or shrug or be in such a way that enables you to sustain or withhold from pushing into pain. So either closing the eyes or having a low gaze is perfect. And then just tuning into the fact that the body is breathing already. There's nothing you need to make it do. I'll often have people say to me, well, I'll catch myself not breathing. And, maybe there is a little bit of gap in breath. But generally speaking, if you're with us here today, you are continuously breathing. So just starting to notice that. What is the pattern of my breath like? What is the quality of my breath? Is it tight and small and only in the chest, or is it more vibrant, or is it deeper into the ribs or the belly? See if you can just notice where it meanders, where it grows, where it has less access. So, just the act of being curious about the breath will change the breath, will alter it. And as you continue to breathe in and out, see if you can find almost this pulsation of breathing in what I call breathing in the round, meaning feeling the front, side, and back body expanding and contracting. So breathing and exhaling. And then letting your sensory experience be validated. So if you're noticing that you need to kind of wiggle the spine a little or shrug the shoulders, or again, if you're noticing the breath is quite shallow in a certain area, you might expand the breath and move it maybe into the back body and see if you can get the back ribs to move a little bit. So just this beautiful quality of curating an exploration, of noticing, of inviting throughout our practice today. There's a Sanskrit word called vidya, which means awareness. Avidya, it means lack of awareness. But cultivating the skill of just what's happening in the body. Am I hungry? Am I thirsty? Am I tired? Am I, what is it my body needs? And making sure that its basic needs are met so that we can move up to maybe the next level, which is just just getting curious about emotions and other sensations in the body. And then we're going to take a mudra called Prithvi Mudra, which is your ring finger and your thumb together. And they can just rest right on your lap. And you might just, as you breathe in, give a little bit of pressure. So you're going to press with the finger and thumb. And then as you exhale, relax it a little bit, still keeping the connection. Breathe in, just press together. So there's an awareness in the hands. And breathe out, relax, but still keep the pressure or the connection there. And this is one of those mudras which is kind of like the Gayatri mantra. It's like good for all. It's good for many things. But 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 it's good for balancing energy. And what I find about any mudra or right hand gesture is what a mudra is it helps create a focal point or an awareness away from the mind, away from the thinking mind. So if we can have an awareness into the body, that allows us to see the inner landscape in a new way with less judgment, is my hope, with more softness and self compassion. We'll take just a couple more breaths, and it's just a light pressure and release. And just notice how this sort of almost the rhythm of it, if it's feeling soothing, if it's feeling like a little bit of a disruptor for if there was any sort of anxious feelings in the body or grief you were dealing with today, or um, uh, even the opposite, some sadness or depressive symptoms. Just noticing if it's able to kind of just disrupt it, just enough to get you into the body. And then go ahead and release that mudra and notice if you can still feel or sense the connection between the thumb and the ring finger, even though it's not there. Energetically, can you feel sort of that draw? Sort of the residue of feeling pressure. Good. And then wherever you are, exhale fully here, drop the shoulders, maybe sigh. Then we'll breathe in together, big, long, full, and deep. And then either a sigh or a long exhale. And when you're ready, if your eyes are not already open, you can blink your eyes open. We're just going to take a couple of shoulder movements here and in segments. So lifting the shoulders toward the ears and then drawing the scapula together in the back. So the shoulder blades come together like two elevator doors. Then slide them down. Let's see how my chest is still elevated. And then relax, letting the shoulders rest softly, the head of the arm bone rest into the socket. We'll do that again. Inhale, shoulders to ears. Keep the shoulders toward the ears. Draw the shoulders together. Exhale, pull them down in the back so the chest is lifted. It's a little mini thoracic back bend. And then relax. Do that one more time. So it's up for one, together for two, keep them together and pull down for three, relax for four. So it's four parts. Inhale up, draw together, keep inhaling. Exhale, bring it down. Exhale, relax. Do that again. Inhale, draw up. Inhale, bring together. Exhale, draw down. And exhale, relax. And put it together a little bit more. Inhaling and then exhaling. But you can still feel the segments, inhaling and then exhaling. So the idea here is to make it a little bit smoother, but you're really feeling, right, how those pieces of the puzzle can actually stimulate that synovial fluid in the joint and create, hopefully with repetition, a little more smoothness. If you're someone who kind of hears sort of Rice Krispies in the shoulders or sort of a clunk clunk, then reduce your range of motion, make that a little smaller, and see if that doesn't alleviate some of that clunkiness. Good. The next time that your shoulders are lifted, start lifting your elbows, pull the elbows a little higher than the shoulders, and then roll the elbows back. And then go forward, round the shoulders, lift the shoulders toward the ears, pull the shoulder blades together and then lower them down. So do you see how we're moving from the extremity here, the elbows, to see if you can get those same segmentations in the shoulders? And then one more time, lift, pull up, pull back around together, and then lower down. Good. Now draw just one ear towards your one shoulder. That's a shoulder. One shoulder toward the ear. And then draw the head the opposite direction. Then pull from the elbow. And this may be all that your range of motion has the capacity for, but that's okay. If not, then you're going to open up the armpit. So I'm turning the armpit forward and the palm up. Now I'm going to turn the palm toward my head and then stretch all the way up and over. This opposite hand can go to the opposite knee for stability, and I'm not pulling, I'm just resting and then stretching and reaching. See if you can anchor the same side hip down. Now play with moving from your nose. So I'm just going to move my head as if I'm moving from my nose. I'm just noticing what effect that may have on my shoulder as I go up, down, around. Good. And then on your next breath, rainbow that arm all the way down. Let your arms drip by your sides. Does one arm feel longer than another? Does one shoulder feel a little more spicy or tingly? So just notice that, right? And then we'll take the other side. So you're going to lift that shoulder to the ear, start to draw the elbow up, flip the palm forward, and then turn the palm of the hand toward you. Keep going as you lean. The opposite hand can go to the other side as you go and lean across. The same side of the pelvis that your arm is extended pushes down. So I'm not leaning this way as much as I am anchoring the pelvis and trying to get some lift out of the shoulder. So I'm actually moving the armpit toward my ear. And then I'm going to move this time from my chin. So I'm going to move my chin and neck around and see how different that feels on this side. I kind of can feel it a little more deeply in my cervical spine. I'm not sure if you notice that. If you're not sure, you can lead with your nose, and that's going to give you a little bit more crown of head occiput connection. Occiput is the ridge of the skull. But if I'm leading with my chin, I'm getting right more throat and back of the neck. And then when you're ready, rainbow that arm all the way up and over. Let it hang loose, like nice and droopy. Good. I notice maybe there's a little more tingle and aliveness, or they're starting to feel a little bit more the same. Let's take a big breath in, lift the shoulders to the ears. Exhale, drop it down. One more time. Inhale, lift the shoulders to the ears. Exhale, drop it down. One last time. Inhale, exhale. Perfect. We're going to come onto our mat if you're not already there, and we'll simply I've got a couple of supports. You don't have to have any supports, but I've got some blocks handy. I've got a blanket handy. I've got a bolster handy. For those of you who know you have some issues with balance, if you don't have blocks or any other props around you, a chair, a wall, there's ways that you can sort of do a bit of a workaround. But I've got my blocks just in the front of my mat, and I'm going to take a lie down. So I'm just scooting my hips forward, finding the center of my mat. I'm going to draw my knees into the chest. Oh, that feels nice. I love to sandwich my hands between my knee and my hamstring so that my elbows can drop. And then just take a little rock side to side, just nice and easy. Not a very big movement at all. And so here I'm really noticing, is my chin tilting way up so that I could look back? I want to take that chin tilt forward and lengthen the back of the neck. And here I'm noticing how much of my spine can connect to the earth when I'm in a posterior tilt, which means my pubic bone is turning toward my nose. My elbows are hanging really soft and my shoulders are going down into the mat as I just take this really gentle rock side to side. And the rocking is, right, we're noticing what feels stable in the back and giving an opportunity to just imprint the spine as I go side to side. So I'm just noticing what connects. On my next breath, I'm going to flex my feet, place my left foot. I'm going to cue left and right just for simplicity. And I still have my hand behind the knee and the hamstring to draw the knee into the chest. So it's less work, and I don't have a need or capacity for the other hand. It could just relax by my side. So I'm drawing it here. We're going to curl up, nose toward knee. So as I do that, go slow. Start to notice how the core turns on. You want to get the work out of the neck. So I want to take a nice big exhale to move the belly down into the mat. So I'm imagining the navel moves in and up. And as I've got the nose to the knee, I'm going to simply straighten the leg as I lower my head back down. Good. And here we'll take both hands out to the side and we'll simply bend the knee and then straighten it. If at any time this starts to feel like it's not right for you or your body, feel free to do less. So I could just bend a little and a little straighten, or I could do a lot more, bend and lengthen. And that is all dependent upon your range of motion in your hamstring, whether the leg goes straight or not. But we've created some stability by letting the back be neutral against the ground. So really all of the work is in the hamstring. Now, once I extend the leg here, I'm going to take my hand along the back of the thigh. Once again, I'm going to bring my chin to my chest and curl. I want to get right into my navel as quickly as I can, low belly. And I'm lightly holding. I'm not pulling, but I'm just lightly holding as I curl my head and neck up. Take another full breath here and a complete breath out. We'll let the knee bend and come into the chest. So for those of you who experience sciatica, you might not enjoy a full twist to the side, but you could do a little modified variation. So if the knee is moving toward the chest, you can simply take that foot and place it back onto the ground and swivel until the weight is on one half of the pelvis and the knees are aiming that direction. I could also move my arms the opposite direction, just for a little bit of a thoracic twist. I'm not going for big lumbar twist here. If you want to deepen that, if you have no issues with sciatica, which is basically a nerve that connects in the middle of the glutes near the piriformis and can shoot some radiating pain down the leg, so it can be quite painful. If that's not your experience, consider a deeper twist. So my knees are going to go further to the side and my arms out to the side. And I could choose both arms out, just one. I'm going to take a big breath in and pay attention to the ribs on the exposed side. And as I exhale, I'm going to see if I can't move the ribs down. Oh, I just popped my back on the exhale. Another inhale again, expand the ribs. And a big exhale, moving them down into the body. To unwind out of this, I'm going to move my top leg up, and then I'll let my bottom leg follow, and then place both feet on the floor. Here, we'll take a symmetrical pose, which is Setu Bandha or bridge pose. My feet are a little Goldilocksy. They're not too close and they're not too far away, but they're a nice distance from the body. Push down with both feet, relax the arms along your side, and then gently press up. You might decide to flutter the arms a little further out, and you might notice the head of the arm bones sink down more, and that might feel really good. If you want more of a stretch through the arms, then you would take the arms out to a T, and I'm going to keep mine to a low V. If all of your weight is in your heels, put a little more into the balls of the feet and the heels, and that's going to lift you higher. Take another full breath and imagine the top of the pelvis shooting up and over the knees. Take one more inhale here, and then float the spine all the way down. Good. The right foot stays on the mat, the left knee comes in, fold the hands behind the knee, and then let the leg come down. So here, I'm just noticing what is my range of motion. I'm relaxing my shoulders. Take another full breath here. You can have eyes open or closed. Go ahead and flex that leg. and then stretch the leg up. And as I stretch it up, I could relax the arms by the side, and we'll take a little bend and straighten. This bending and straightening, right, gives you a really clear indication of what is my flexibility or range of motion in my hamstring muscles? What is my flexion for hip flexors, which is called your psoas muscle? And what am I observing with my head, neck, and jaw? Can I keep the chin tilt forward? Can my jaw be soft here? And then the next time the leg is extended, you're going to go ahead and put the hands behind the leg, bring the chin toward the chest and curl up. Feel the low belly come in and underneath. So again, we're not pulling, we're not holding onto the leg. I'm really using some core strength here to feel the belly move inward and upward. Take one more inhale and then lower all the way back down. Relax the arms to the side and bend the knee. We're going to take that twist. So the twist we did on the other side was the foot came down. If I'm experiencing sciatic, I'm just going to tilt the knees slightly one direction and just notice that. And then I'll pause here. If I have capacity to let the knees fall further, then the knees will go further and the arms could be either at a T for more stretch through that sort of nervy sensation through the arms, or they could be at a low V, which would be less sensation. You want to pay attention to the top ribs. Breathe in and fan the ribs. Exhale, the ribs go down. And again, breathe in, fan the ribs. Exhale, the ribs go down. Beautiful. We're going to bring the top knee back up, put the foot on the floor, and come back through the center. We'll take another bridge pose, a little more symmetrical. And as we press into both feet, we'll lift the pelvis, whatever amount feels right for you. This time, you're going to push down more with your heels and notice that that's going to turn on your hamstring and glute. But if you're experiencing sciatica, for example, you might choose to press more in the balls of the feet. That's going to lessen the pressure on that sciatic nerve. You could even imagine pushing the feet out to both sides of the mat. That's going to separate the glutes and the hips a little bit and feel very different. Take another full breath in and a complete breath out, and lower the hips and pelvis to the floor. From here, draw the knees one at a time into the chest, hands back along the back of the hamstrings, and notice, what is your range of motion like now? I can sense that my legs are a little bit closer to my belly. It may or may not be the case for you, but you can just simply notice or observe. And a gentle rock side to side. On your next breath, we're going to roll to one side or the other. It doesn't matter, whichever side feels better. As I roll to the side, I'm going to keep rolling to use the momentum to come up. Perfect. From here, we're going to go into an all fours position. Hands onto the mat. Spread your fingers apart and just gently rock from one side to the other side. It's nice and slow, and so there's just a feeling of, what is my balance like? Where do I pour my weight? What do I notice? If we're dealing with any issues in the wrist, you could always walk your hands further forward, which decreases the flexion in the wrist. Or they could be right underneath you, and if they are, and that still feels uncomfortable, you could come down to forearms. So just kind of listening, what does my body need here? We'll begin just a little bit of a circular motion. And see if you can imagine sort of stirring a pot from the center of the belly. So as I go around, I can feel the center of the belly, right, contracting and relaxing. And if you're not sure, right, you might even maybe even pick up one hand or another when you shift weight. And that's really going to give you, that's going to pull and draw the core in to give you that sensation. And then reverse the circle if you haven't done so already. So just noticing that I'm imagining from my belly that I'm stirring a pot. So I've really got this keen awareness of the low belly lifting inward and upward. Perfect. Then settle right into the center. On your next breath, curl your toes under and begin to sit back into child's pose with both toes curled under. And as I sit back, I'm getting that stretch all the way through the soles of the feet. If you notice when you look between your feet that you're sickling the heels out to the side or drawing them too close together, see if you can find that place in which you can still feel all the toes connecting or attempting to connect. Know that you could do less. You don't have to be sitting all the way back, that this is going to be more intense. And it will be more intense if I push through the hands. Can you see how my pelvis moves further back when I push? So it's a little more intensity of a stretch. And then on my breath, inhale, come back up. I'm going to take my leg out and pedal the foot just a little bit to get the connection of that stretch in the back of the ankle all the way up through the calf and into the hamstring. And then you'll switch sides. The other side reaches back, just moving back and forth. And notice if you're collapsed in your upper body or if you can keep pushing away from the floor to keep the low belly moving upward. And then from here, both knees bend, walk the hands, and then come up to Astrasana or camel pose. We'll do this. This is very similar to Setu Bandha. It's got the same kind of symmetry, meaning I'm not leaning one side or the other. I'm going to slide my hands from the side of my hips to the back of my sacrum. If I'm working with sciatica, I want to feel like my knees are moving out, out, out. If you want to work with glute strength and hamstring strength, I want to feel the glutes drawing in. So it's a different sensation. The hands press down through the sacrum. Let the eyes start to look up. As you lean back just a little into the hands, there's a lift. If you start to feel some pinching in the sciatica or in that area, look down into the floor, draw the belly in, just lift the eyes, the chin, and only lift the upper chest. So I don't know if you can see the difference. So I was suggesting being here, moving more from the pelvis, but if you've got sciatica, I'm only going to lift from the lowest rib upward. So that's going to take it out of the sacrum. And then slide the hands down on either side. We're going to see if we can stand. We've been practicing this the last few weeks, standing without our hands. So stepping one leg forward, you're going to shift your weight forward, lift up the back, and step forward. You got it. Perfect. Nice. We're going to take the feet just a little bit wider than hip distance apart. And from here, take your hands just on the ridge of the pelvis. Once the hands are on the ridge of the pelvis, push down with the feet and lift up with the back of the neck. So I want to feel like my back body is getting longer. Big difference between lifting the front body versus lifting the back body. If you're not sure, you don't feel it, relax. And then push down from the feet, lift up through the back, between the shoulder blades, that place that we just gently work through. I'm going to step my right leg all the way to the right, and I'll mirror you. So if you're stepping your right leg forward, step your right all the way to the right. Your feet are really pretty wide. My back heel is lifted, and I'm going to imagine pushing off this back foot as if I were a sprinter, which is kind of funny because I'm not. But there's that sense of moving forward. Now start to bend both knees. And the outer edge of the front foot feels like it's moving out, out, out to the outer side. And as you begin to sit just a little bit deeper, good, there's that strong pressure through the ball of the back foot. Take another full breath there. Sit just a little bit deeper if the body allows, imprinting the whole front foot. So I've got like a pretty big wide space between my legs, and my legs feel like they're moving out, out, out. Take another big inhale and a complete exhale. We'll hinge the upper chest forward so the glute sits to the back. Step the back leg forward, the feet are apart, and sit in Utkatasana. Here, I'm going to pour all of my weight into my heels And I'm going to imagine I have a plumb line from the top of my head through my body all the way down into the heels. Good. And then from here, stretch the arms forward, or the arms can go up either way. And I'll step back so you can see all of me. I can see there's like this a halo of sunshine happening in my house. If you could see all the sun, it's really beautiful where we are today. So sitting just a little bit further back and a little bit further back, notice where the weight resides. Now start to tip the weight forward toward the balls of the feet. Can you feel how your low belly kicks in to help you balance? See if you can lift your heels any amount, just a little or a lot. You decide. Maybe sit deeper, maybe not, maybe deeper, maybe not. Take another breath. It's like the back of the pelvis drops down, and then come to stand. Do a little wiggle. Let that go. Just kind of notice what's going on in the body and how that feels for the body at this time. And now we're going to step the opposite foot forward. So, and slightly over to the side. So I'm mirroring you. It would be your left foot. Step it all the way forward and slightly to the side. Bend your back knee and your front knee. And as I do that, I want to imagine the outer edge of my front foot sweeps out to the side. I'm really emphasizing that. The back foot feels like it could propel me forward. I could like stand on one foot at any time. Keep bending or stay higher. You decide. I mean, this is the stride, right, of a really big walk, right? So it's the same idea of what propels you. We actually, our whole body spirals all day long. When I step forward, my torso goes toward that leg, and then I step and I pivot and I pivot, right? Your body is always making this spiral as you move, and you want it to, because that's how functional movement works. If you find you're rigid when you walk, you want to practice letting the torso have freedom and movement. On your next full breath, sink just a little lower or raise the arms, whatever feels right for you, and find fullness of breath here, especially into the back body. It's really easy to kind of dump down, but you almost want to feel like you're going to grow out of the legs. Grow out of the legs. Then slowly shift your torso forward to step forward, and the feet are parallel. With the feet parallel, we'll sit down into that Utkatasana, arms forward or arms on the pelvis. You can even hold your ears. It's very glamorous. You decide. But I'm almost imagining that I'm sweeping my feet out to the side, which creates some freedom along the glutes. So just noticing what that feels like. Maybe sit a little bit deeper, maybe not. Tip a little bit of weight forward till the heels get lighter. So we're thinking about moving up onto the balls of the feet, which means I want to keep moving my pelvis back, 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 back. So I could be low, I could be high. I can always rescue myself and put my heels back down. But my gaze here, I generally look at one thing, but then I try to take in as much as I can forward. And that widening the gaze helps me keep, as I lose my balance, it helps me keep my balance. Take one more breath and then lower your heels and gently stand tall. Perfect. Take in a full breath here and a complete breath out. Close your eyes, check in with the body, and notice what feels the same, different, more alive, maybe quieter. So just this beautiful and gentle observation of what might be fizzling in the body or what might be just quiescent. One more breath. And let that go. Good. Nice. And then from here, we'll take a nice slow inhale. As you stretch the arms all the way up, can you start to notice that point? And you can always have them bent if it doesn't work for your shoulders. Notice that point in which you start to feel it as low as possible. So I get to this point and I feel a pull from the armpit. I start to feel it down through the hip, and I can probably feel it all the way. I would say I probably feel it about through mid-thigh for me. But when I push through my feet a little, I can feel the connection through the feet. If I just relax, I don't feel it. But if I do a little push, then I can feel that full connection all the way through. On your next exhale, we'll bend your elbows, bend your knees, and fold forward, Uttanasana, or forward bend. Gently shake the head no, nod the head yes, or swivel or bobble head. So there's a sense of like something dripping off the back of the neck. So there's just a little more ease there. And then feel the weight a little more toward the balls of the feet rather than depending on the hamstrings. So see if you can get some co-contraction by tipping the weight to the balls of the feet. We're going to come through all fours. So the hands go to the floor, come to kneeling, curl the toes under and begin to sit back again into Balasana or Child's Pose. Pause here, full breath in. Walk the arms a little further forward and a little further forward and a little further forward. See how far you can wiggle those hands forward. Good. So Balasana is one of those positions. You can also flip the feet the other way if that's too much. Is one of those positions which again posteriorly tilts the pelvis and gives you some length or stretch or that sensation of elongating through the lumbar spine, which we sometimes feel compressed when we sit a lot during the day, or when we, especially if you have a lot of range of motion in your lumbar spine, sometimes we tend to move from the place of least resistance. And so this is one of those sort of relievers or relieving postures for that. Take in another full breath and a complete breath out. We're going to go back to Ustrasana or camel pose. So walk the hands back toward the knees, come up to kneeling, flip the tops of the feet down, slide the hands on the outer side of the pelvis, and then back around to the sacrum. Draw the elbows together, look down into the belly. So remember, we're not going to go right into the lumbar spine. Start to use the upper back first. So I'm going to lift my chin, my head. I'm going to imagine someone's cradling the back of my neck. And I want to lift the center chest. That's very different from going into my lumbar spine here. So I want to just lift as if someone lassoed me underneath my armpits and lifted the upper back up. The upper back up. Push down a little bit more with your feet and move the knees as if you're sliding them out to the side. Good. And then coming out of it, slide the hands back down. You're going to shift the hips off to one side and take the legs forward into Dandasana or staff pose. As we stretch the legs forward, press the heels downward into the earth and then slide the hands out to the side. So this position allows for a lot of stability through the pelvis. So when that's stable, we can work on something in the thoracic, and that's my goal here. So I'm going to walk my right hand, so you can walk either hand, out to the side, and then I've got my finger pads here. That same little stretch we did of lifting the shoulder, lifting the elbow, you can do it with me. Turn the palm forward, palm toward the face. And as I go to the side, I'm going to resist. I'm pushing back here as I extend forward. So I'm just kind of noticing what the side body is doing. Another breath here, and then rainbow that arm up and over. Now we're going to go forward into a forward bend. Walk that same arm a little bit further forward than the other arm. Now, if it's causing any pinching, any strong sensations, imagine pushing the hips out and taking the feet and trying to push them out to the side, but they're stationary. So I'm walking that same arm that I did the side bend a little further forward, If it feels better to do it symmetrical, then do it symmetrical. But just getting a little contralateral stretch, but more from the thoracic spine than you are because our pelvis is being supported by the floor. One more breath here. And then slide the body all the way back up. Do a little wiggle the shoulders, maybe, and drop the shoulders, sort of letting that energy move downward, while at the same time there's a feeling of the crown of the head spiraling up. Okay. Finger pads the other side. There's a support on the floor. There's a lift of the shoulder and the elbow. The palm goes up, palm turns toward the head. I'm going to use this hand on the floor to resist. In other words, I'm not collapsing to the side. I'm actually resisting so I can isolate the rib cage. That's what we're going for. More thoracic here. And the arm could be stretched fully or the arm could be bent, depending on what's happening in your shoulders. And as you do that, I'm resisting with the bottom hand. So both sits bones are pushing down firmly and out. One more breath there. Find that your breath is supportive. It's really about the upper back. And then rainbow that arm up and over. We'll go forward again. You can keep it symmetrical. Both arms stretch, or the side that you just stretched reaches a little bit further forward. So this would be a contralateral stretch. So meaning I would feel it from the extended arm that's forward diagonally to the other half of my pelvis. But because my pelvis is stationary, it's pressing down, I'm really able to manipulate and feel, hopefully, more of the middle back than I was before. See if you can even undulate here a little bit. Get the belly lifting, get the spine lifting, and then exhale. See if you have more access to fold forward. One more breath. Slide the hands back. Good. You'll slowly take the legs a little bit wider on both sides. It could be quite small. It could be a bigger Upavishta Konasana, just a little bit of a stretch. If you're dealing with sciatica stuff, I would probably do really narrow. I would do much, much smaller. And the action is still heels down, press out to get the feeling of the sits bones moving apart. And then here, we're just going to walk halfway forward. Use a lift of the chest and a little flip of the tailbone back to start to bend forward. I don't need to necessarily walk the arms all the way forward, but I'm just a little slow bow forward. The idea is to find that connection between the pelvis, the mid-back, and the crown of the head, the pelvis, the knee, and the feet. Take another full in and out breath here. And when you're ready, push down from your feet. So the feet lift your upper body up. So the upper body's really light. Scoop the legs here, bringing them in. You can lean back, rolling the shoulders and chest, just the upper chest lifts. If you're going into your lumbar spine, see if you can avoid that. Just lift the upper chest. So it's another variation of Ustrasana, but I'm fully supported and my sits bones don't move. And then let that go. I'm going to come all the way back down onto my back. I'm going to take my blocks with me if you have them. If you don't have them, it's okay. You'll just do another bridge pose without them. But I'm going to take the blocks and place my feet on top of the blocks. You want to make sure that they're not slippy. If they feel like you're going to slip forward, then I would just not use the blocks. But here, they need to be close enough so that when I push down from my feet, I'm able to get a little more height. Can you see how I'm able to lift just a little bit higher? There's more weight on my shoulders. My arms are going to fan out to a V. Take a couple of more breaths. See if you can find both the balls and the heels of the feet on the block. If I just have the heels, I'm going to pretty much be in my hamstrings. If I just push my toes, I'm going to be in my quads. But I want to feel pretty even. Take another full breath here. and then float the pelvis all the way down. Push your blocks to where you can reach them with your hands. And we're going to take the blocks, and they'll be side by side like this, and they're going to come underneath the sacrum. So I'll push into a bridge pose again and put the two blocks together and then rest my sacrum on it. If you don't have blocks, you could take a pillow, you could take a folded blanket, you can take anything you like and add it right underneath there and then rest the pelvis down. I've got my hands just right on the belly so that I have some tactile awareness of my breath as I rest here. The feet should be a comfortable distance where they feel like they're not overworking. They could fold like two playing cards together, stacked one onto the other, or the feet could be simply and the knees parallel. My legs work better when they're parallel. Sometimes people like to do the internal rotation. So here, we'll just rest a few moments and see if you can find the pattern or the rhythm of breath underneath your hands as you breathe in and as you breathe out. So there's just kind of that softness and palpability to the breath. At any time, you can release it. You're not beholden to a particular shape. But notice as the body simply breathes in and breathes out, what is your awareness like? Are you able to soften down into the support and not feel like you need to over effort here? And can you almost imagine with the weight of the pelvis onto the support that the rib cage itself could hammock toward the floor? So there's not that bracing happening, but there's a softening happening. And in that softening, the head rests back, the eyes, the outer edges of the eyes widen, the jaw separates. There's just this sense of, I don't need to be holding myself here, but I could rest in this shape. Taking just a few more breaths, breathing in and breathing out. And then on the next couple of breaths, you'll push down through the feet, remove the blocks underneath you, and then just as if the pelvis were settling down onto like a bed or a feather support, there's just this flutter down to the earth and a sense of ease. Mm. I've been really thinking and working with this concept as you're resting here, or if there's any other movement that you'd like to do to complete your practice, you can wiggle or move or stretch or breathe or adjust. You can also prepare for Shavasana. But I've been really playing with this idea of how we trust ourselves and how we can begin to, especially if you haven't always trusted your intuition, or if there's some apprehension and even trusting others, um, whether that's you've had your trust broken in the past, or um, we just live in a world where it's hard to be generous with others at times. In other words, assuming the best intent. But that trust begins right with ourselves. And reading a poem, which is quite simple, but I think profound, by Thomas Smith called Trust. So if you haven't settled into Shavasana, you might move into that resting pose, really making yourself comfortable and cozy with a blanket or a pillow or any other support. reading this poem to you. It's like so many other things in life to which you must say no or yes. So you take your car to the new mechanic. Sometimes the best thing to do is trust. The package left with the disreputable looking clerk, the check gulped by the night deposit, the envelope passed by dozens of strangers, all show up at their intended destinations. The theft that could have happened doesn't. Wind finally gets where it's going through the snowy trees, and the river, even when frozen, arrives at the right place. And somehow you sense how faithfully your life is delivered, even though you can't read the address. Maybe something's coming to mind to you that you just have faith in, or you trust that it will happen, whether it's something so simple or quite memorable. Notice what that feeling is like in your body. And imagine that feeling of trust or knowing or just embodied awareness, really. Vidya permeates and can radiate throughout the rest of your body. For example, you're trusting the support of the earth right now to hold you, to not fall underneath you. Gravity is there. We'll take just a few moments in quiet to rest together. And you can either choose to finish as you are and carry on with Shavasana and resting, or you can move and wiggle, adjusting the head, yawning, or sighing. And whatever the body needs to just reawaken, could roll to the side and gently roll to sitting. As we close out our time together, I wonder if you can reflect on maybe one thing that we did, whether it was breath or whether it was a stretch or maybe something that felt good, and make a gentle commitment to integrate some of that into your day. I find that cultivating new patterns or new habits are best when they're paired with something you already do. So, an easy way to do that might be if you have breakfast, you go into the kitchen in the morning. Many of us do, or whenever we eventually go to the kitchen. Can we put our hands on the countertop and stretch or move or right while we're waiting for something to boil or the coffee to percolate or something to come out of the microwave? So whenever you marry it with something else, it is much easier to begin a new habit. And so that is my hope, that you find some sneaky ways to integrate some movement in order to sort of unwind, right, the things that become binding in us. So thank you all. I appreciate you.